Okay, how are you, Bruce?
I'm
Welcome
doing
to
pretty
Charlie's
good.
Corner.
Thank you very much. Pleasure to be here.
Yeah, I'm not sure if we're going to have any more visitors or not. I don't know if what's her name, Gal, is going to tune in or not, but be interesting if she does.
Oh, yeah, I haven't talked to her for a couple of days. I was in touch with them last week because you were having a problem with the torque on head one.
Uh-huh. So did
But
you get that head fixed up yet or?
no, we didn't. But I'll tell you, I used that roller yesterday.
Uh-huh.
Great. And it did have the Teflon with it, the rough Teflon.
The rough Teflon. What you really want to get is a smooth Teflon sheet. It's called a PTFE sheet, and it's a hard white um, Teflon, in essence, a Teflon sheet. It's got adhesive. And what you'll do is you would just take it and attach it to the bottom of one of your screens and tape around the edges. Um, that'll give you a smooth finish, which
Okay.
will also make everything look sharper and a little bit brighter.
So what we did, this Teflon is smooth on one side, but one side's really, really rough. And I don't know if that's supposed to give it a little bit of rigidness.
Now, you really don't want the rough stuff, though,
No, we used the Teflon portion on this on the actual
on the smooth side.
yeah, and it made a big difference.
Oh,
It
it
actually
should.
did.
Because what it does is it takes the ink instead of just sitting there kind of in a rough manner. It flattens it down so it takes the fiber and takes it down, and then it gives you a smooth surface. So the prints that come after that are now printing on a smooth surface as opposed to a rough surface. And so everything looks a little sharper as well.
Yep, it definitely did. I was trying to figure out if we could have done a step back with the white,
Uh-huh.
but I couldn't figure out how we could print, flash, roll, and then go all the way back to head one to print again.
Yeah.
So we just made we did an underbase white and then a highlight
Okay.
white. And it worked fantastic.
Well, glad to hear it. Uh, you're going to find that now that you have that roller in place, probably going to live with it in place.
I think so.
You know, no one really believes that it's going to make that much of an impact until they finally use it and they take a look at, a print without it and then a print with it. And there's a absolute difference between them.
Oh, there is for sure. I was surprised. I really was. It was easy to put on. We
Yeah.
actually taped it to a bottom of an old screen.
Yep.
And sometimes it wanted to stick like to the underbase a little bit, but it didn't hurt anything.
Well, if it's trying to stick, that means that you may not have flashed it
Sure
long
did.
enough.
Yeah.
So you may want to just increase it just a fraction. And by doing that, you shouldn't get any kind of resistance. You shouldn't even hear anything. When that screen comes up, you should hear nothing coming off of it.
Yeah,
So
we
if you
did in the
hear any
very
noise,
beginning, but I think what happened is the pallets got warmer.
the
We
what?
didn't the pallets ended up getting warmer. We warmed the pallets, and then by running in automatic mode, it actually heated everything up. Worked very
Yeah,
well.
well, have you had it? Excuse me a second. I got to take this phone call. Sorry.
Yes. No, you're fine.
Hello. Hello. Hi. How are you, Brian? Oh, hanging in there. Yes, sorry, I didn't get back to you. I didn't have any of the paperwork and stuff, so it was going to be difficult to speak to you at all. Okay. So is there, okay. Well, I need to try and get it closed out. I need to try and get, what's it, a T1 form? I guess, when my brother passed away, this is just to close out his account. And there's not, it, The accountant that I use said you need a T1 form to close out your brother's account. And basically, there's hardly anything there. Um, the amount, I mean, he passed away on March 27th. And so, um, I know you have his uh, accounting work from previous years. I
Exactly.
can text over the couple of forms that he has, and that would be the end of it. It would just be a matter of quote unquote putting that in, closing out the account.
Come in here for a minute.
Oh yeah, I mean it should be next to nothing because even the paperwork that I have. Um,
Let's see.
Let me just do one thing. Excuse me a second. Okay, we're back to recording.
All right. I assume you edit this before it goes
Huh?
out. You edit this before it goes on your site?
I'm sorry.
You edit the recording, I assume.
Oh yeah, yeah. It'll go on my website. So if anybody wants to see it and see what's going on, no problem at all.
Okay.
Um, yeah, you'll see your smiling face on there, and they'll be able to pull that up and listen to the recordings. I'm gonna have to, and obviously it's going to be in two parts this time, but that's okay. That
Okay.
shouldn't hurt anything.
So when you do these then, Charlie, do you have an agenda that you like to start out with?
Actually, I don't. I kind of I started this in when the pandemic hit, and so there was no way of communicating with anyone at that point other than um, doing Zoom sessions and stuff. And
Sure.
so I was doing them at that time, probably two a month. Now I try and do it at least once a month, sometimes twice a month. And it was just a way of kind of staying in touch with what was going on in the industry, um, finding a way to actually answer questions and kind of discuss what the situations were at that point.
Sure. I'm sure it
But
was
it's
difficult.
just continued on, and I really enjoy it, to be honest with you. Um, Gives me a chance, even, I mean, at times we've had, 10, 12 people on. At other times, it's just been myself and whoever the guest is. In this case, that's you. Um, Gives me a chance to just kind of chit chat and kind of go through anything you want to go through. Because this is really about you, not so much me. But I mean, I can certainly fill you in on some of the things that I've seen. I did the Impressions Expo last week in Dallas.
No
Uh,
good.
was not the greatest. Uh, that show has normally been in Fort Worth, and the thing about Fort Worth is it's somewhat of a small town. Um, so when the show is over and you head to downtown, you bump into everyone from the show. It's just that type of thing, and it's quaint and it's low key, et cetera. Or you can also go down to the stockyards if you wanted to see the Longhorns and eat down there. But certainly most people stay downtown. Problem in Dallas is number one, is far more expensive in terms of hotels.
Sure.
And it's such a big city that the chances of you bumping into anyone that you know just strolling, just not going to happen. It just doesn't have that homey feel, if you know what I mean. Even in Atlantic City, I mean, you were there. You go out in Atlantic City, you're probably going to bump into people that are in there from the show
Oh, for
because
sure.
everything is pretty much restricted in that sense. Dallas wide open,
Hmm.
and
So that show, I bet there was a lot of direct to film stuff there, huh?
oh, I mean, the show itself had tons of DTF. That obviously being the hot item right now. Um, Not my, Dallas just isn't my favorite place to go. I have to admit that too dressed up, too pretentious. Um, I stayed in the show hotel that was attached to the convention center. It was like a half-mile walk from the hotel to get into the convention center, even though you never left the building.
Wow. That
Oh
that happened
yeah,
in
it was
Chicago.
insane,
I did a show
crazy.
in Chicago like that, and it was horrible because
Hmm.
I didn't want to go outside in Chicago.
You know, I don't mind going. I like Chicago because of the food and stuff. Do I like doing a show there? I think it's horrible for a show. You know,
Yeah,
going to McCormick Place, awful.
that's where I was at.
Yeah, you know, I just don't enjoy it at all.
So what
And
are you seeing out there in the marketplace, though? I know you travel a lot and you see a lot of different uh, customers and different cities. Are
right,
they all saying like the same thing or how things are going?
you know, what's interesting, I mean, I've got a handful of accounts that I speak to, you being one of them lately. For whatever reason, you and I certainly speak more often than I do with some of the others. Um, some of the bigger companies are doing fine. You know, they don't seem to be affected heavily, although they are affected. Like I work with a company in Pennsylvania that has 7 automatics. And I said, you know, how's business been this year? He said, well, you know, not too bad. We're off about 8% or so, which is really no big deal. Um, you know, I speak to some of the other companies and, you know, they're down 15, 20, 25% right now. Um, DTF definitely has its impact. It hasn't really hurt screen print that much, even though everybody thinks it is. It seems that it certainly killed DTG, but
I I
I
would
think what
imagine.
DTF has done is it's given companies the opportunity to do really small runs, you know, one-offs if necessary. Excuse me,
Right.
if necessary. Where in the past there was no way of doing that unless you went DTG. And the reality is with most DTG, you know, you've got 3 companies now that are the only ones that are really doing DTG. You have Epson, Brother, and Cornette. And of course, Cornette, you're looking at a huge price tag. You know, it starts at about 75 grand. And the biggest problem with them is even if you wanted to buy a used Cornette, they will not support it. So, you know, you can get a good deal on them, but if it goes down, you're toast.
Mm,
And
yeah.
so it's like, okay. So they have certain things that are really good. I think they're doing more on the yard good side than they are on finished t-shirts. You know, the industry is definitely using Cornette machines. Um, doesn't impact us in that sense. But as far as being out there, you know, from what I can see, you've got companies about your size, one automatic or smaller, and are they really having a difficult time? Some of them are, but not terribly. I don't think that the smaller companies are as affected as the large ones. The large ones are definitely having their issues because of the tariffs. Um, you know, there are so few garments made in the U.S. Most of them, even if they're U.S. companies, they're made in Central America, South, or over on the Asian side. And so all of those are getting killed with tariffs.
Oh,
Uh,
100%. I mean, I've seen such a price jump on Richardson hats from, say we were buying them for six and change.
uh-huh.
Now they're up actually I was at 575 and now they're up to 675. That's a big jump.
Oh, yeah, it is. Of course it is. You
Nike's
know,
going up.
yep. You know, I work with Sherlock, the frames and stuff. And
Yes.
so on their panels, uh, they have a line on there that says they have a 3% tariff on their panels because all the mesh comes from overseas. And so they're
Actually, I
passing,
saw that on your invoice.
yeah. they're just automatically putting a 3% tariff on, just so that they don't have to try and quote unquote bump up their pricing, so that if these tariffs go away, they'll just
Right.
eliminate that line
I don't have to
rather than go.
restructure everything.
Yeah. And you know, you can't blame them. I mean, this whole thing with tariffs is just killing this country, I think,
It is. It's a
you
nightmare.
know. And so does it have an impact? All of that has an impact. You know, I can remember, how long have you been at this? Oh, by the way, we got somebody else who's joining us.
I've been in business for almost 16 years,
Okay.
up until probably a year ago, just about a year now, we went back into screen printing. I screen printed probably 30 years ago on a little I think it was a 4.2 manual.
Okay.
And when I used to buy all this stuff, because we started out as a promotional products company, so I bought a lot of screen printing, a lot of embroidery, and I knew a little bit about it. I thought I knew a lot. Wow. I don't know if I forgot everything I did know, or if things changed that much, or I just didn't know much at all. But my wife was upset when I told her I was going to start doing this. She was dead set against it, the screen printing part.
Uh-huh.
But I don't know, it's in my blood. I can't help it. I like to make people happy when I make a product and it comes out the way I want it to come out, because I'm very particular, and they get it and they like it. It just That's satisfaction for me. And that's like that
Oh,
with
I
our
agree.
screen printing. I just really enjoy that.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I don't print anymore, but when I did, there was no greater joy than walking down the street and seeing somebody wearing a shirt you printed.
Exactly.
You know, you almost wanted to go up to them and say, "Hey, I did that."
I actually done that a few times.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, back in my day, I was doing bootleg rock and roll, so that was not a
Well, this
very
is
good thing to
true.
do.
Yeah. You want
But
to stay away from it.
it was funny. We did a concert. I don't remember which one, and I took my family at that time to Israel. So I'm going back. Let's see, my daughter's 47, about 30 years ago. Get off the plane in Israel, and there's a guy wearing a shirt from the concert from like 3 days ago,
Oh my goodness.
which was, you know, really kind of weird.
Yeah,
Um,
that's a long way to go to see that.
but you know, I mean, I love screen printing. I have to admit that the whole process and everything else about it is really right up my alley. Um, I had to learn it just like everybody else, because back in my day, there were no schools. I mean, when I was in college, I had a print minor, and the one thing I refused to do was that stupid thing called silk screening. I did I did etchings, I did stone lithography, but you know, looking at somebody doing this type of thing and watching this mesh bounce around, it's like there's no accuracy in that, man. I'm not doing that type of thing. And of course, you know, life has its way of uh, putting a twist to your thoughts, and so boom, I end up in screen printing. Uh, Fortunately, I got in at a time where uh, nobody really had things worked out perfectly. And so we did things that others couldn't do.
I
I mean, we
remember
were
you
do
saying.
we were, yeah, we were doing 5 and 6 color work on black shirts, wet on wet, and they were coming out fantastic. And that's how I ended up becoming a speaker, because we were doing things nobody else could figure out. Well, part of it was my art background. And back when I was a graphic designer for ABC Network, they let me loose on a couple of things. So I got to do some paper printing on black paper. And so when you're dealing with a black background, it's totally different than the norm, you know, which is a light colored paper. And
Right.
so having had the opportunity to do some of that when I got into t-shirts, I remembered some of the things that I had to do there. And so gave me the opportunity to play around. But I mean, I know you've been around for a while. I think I definitely have you by a couple of years, though.
Couple, yeah.
too many, actually.
Well, hey, it's better than the alternative, right?
Hey, listen, I don't knock it. Uh, Being around is a good thing.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you look good too for your age. You do. So
Well,
let me say this. We were having such complications with this equipment since we got it. Obviously, you know about the exposing unit
mhm.
went through. That's in the past now. What we have now and the way we're doing it is fantastic. But we were still having a lot of issues with screen printing. So I noticed paying attention, I was out in the shop more and more with the guys. Some of the off contact on one platen, let's say it was at a quarter inch, where
Okay.
it would be an eighth of an inch. That machine, I honestly believe, was never properly set up. And with that being said, we spent about a day on it and we set everything. So now the off contact is perfect on every screen. So it made a big difference. Excuse me 1 second, Charlie.
Yeah, go ahead. I totally understand. Business still continues.
That's LJ's brother-in-law, but I can't,
It's the fall.
I can't talk to him.
Did you know how much longer he might be? He said he's willing to wait. No
Oh,
problem.
I'm gonna be probably an hour.
Okay.
Yeah.
No.
Sorry about that. I guess there was a customer out there that wanted to talk to me, and I said he's gonna have to call back or come back. You're muted. No, I can't hear you. You're on mute. Um, Charlie. Charlie, where'd you go?
Can you hear me now?
Ah, there you go.
Okay.
Did you get my little chats I was sending you?
I was trying to figure out what the hell I was doing here. And it seems whatever I've done is not right. I've got to hold down on my space bar. Otherwise I get cut off.
Uh-oh. You went away again.
Stop. Down.
You went away, Charlie.
Okay. I think I got it all. Sorry
Don't
about
touch
that.
nothing, right?
Okay. Back in business.
Yes.
Uh,
So I don't know if you've ever watched some stuff online about where people usually use their off contact. They'll say t-shirts are at number 4, sweatshirts are at 12. Well, that's just a number. We're
Yeah,
actually at 21 on a t-shirt now
is
because,
that right?
yeah,
But
because of how
what,
we raised everything up.
what is it, what exactly does that mean though? You know,
Well,
I
it's
mean,
just a
numbers are numbers
number.
and,
Yeah,
they may not mean anything.
they don't. They don't. It's just that that's the number we're going to use from now on doing a standard t-shirt is 21. Uh,
Okay.
and we're about, I'm going to say about an eighth of an inch off contact right now.
Yeah, which is, pretty normal when you have a tight screen.
It is, I don't know how you could do anymore. I mean, how would you get that screen to push down? It's so tight.
Well, listen, the tighter your screen, the less distortion you have, and the faster you can go because you don't have to wait for that peeling action.
Right. It's
So,
automatic.
at an eighth of an inch, you don't need any more space than that. As long as you don't hear any noise when the screen comes up, it means that it's totally peeled away, which is what you want. And that's the ideal situation. If you can get all your screens to the same tension, to the same off contact, et cetera, the chances of you drifting out of register goes away. Okay. The biggest thing, even with the screens you just got, every time you reclaim, put a hash mark in the corner. Okay. And this way, because as those screens get older, they will lose a bit of tension. They're still going to be quite tight, but you don't want to take a screen that is quite new with one that's been reclaimed, let's say 10 times, and the other one has only been reclaimed twice. Because even though they're both tight and both register perfectly initially, the one that's been used a lot more won't change in tension for the most part, where the newer one will drop slightly. Well, if it drops, what happens is the image gets a little bit bigger, and that's when you start getting things out of register slightly. So
Mhm.
even with a tight screen, it's really important to track how many times you've reclaimed it.
I think you mentioned that to me one time, either when you were here or on the phone about doing that.
Well, I'm not sure either, but the thing is you just use a black magic marker and you put a hash mark in the corner. And when they go to pull screens for a job, they try to pull them where they have the same number of hash marks. I mean, if one has 5 and the other one has 6, that's not an issue. But if one has 2 and the other one has 8, that's going to potentially create a problem if it's a longer run. On a short run, probably won't be much of an issue at all.
Okay. So let
You
me
know,
ask you this. You used to do nothing but wet on wet back in the day because obviously they didn't have a flash unit.
correct.
Why did you not have any sticking problems? Is it because the ink was so much different back then?
Mm, we did have sticking problems, but it didn't really matter. You know, you have to understand that the what was considered acceptable back then would not be acceptable today. So
Okay.
did we have crisp images? They had first of all, doing rock and roll was a whole different deal. But even away from rock and roll, when we were doing other things, we were doing full color process, we were doing simulated process for real jobs, not rock and roll. And we had to wipe our screens periodically.
Okay.
You know, the inks were different. I know you're using some Union ink now. Well, back then, that's all I used. But the difference was back then, it all had lead in it, where, of course, today there is no lead content. And so, what the lead would do is it would make the image stand up more. Colors were brighter and they would hold up a lot longer. Of course, the last thing you want to do is mess with anything that has a lead base or lead content to it. But what we made shirts that looked really good, but when you felt them, the hand was not wonderful. But nobody was worried about the hand. They were all looking for vibrancy. Now, when we got the full color process, that was different. We were using 305 mesh back then. We were using CMYK. We were getting some great results. It's just that in today's world, the problem with CMYK is trying to keep it consistent. Now, in your case, with the screens that you have, you should be able to do a killer job of CMYK. The biggest issue is learning how to actually do the separations on it.
No, I am struggling a little bit with separations too, knowing when to do a choke versus a spread. And sometimes
More often than not, you're going to do a choke.
on the base.
Yes.
So what do you do? And you try and do butt to butt on some of your prints then?
You know what? Here's the thing about butt registration. If you're off by a hairline, you get a blur. So what we were doing was we were gapping it. So we would give it like a 1/2 point gap, which is only 1/4 point.
Okay.
Because you lose half on each side. By it not touching, we didn't end up with blurriness. But it definitely means that when you set up that job, it's got to be dead on the money.
Yeah, wouldn't you see a little white peeking through though?
You would not with a quarter with a quarter gap. You'll see nothing.
Okay.
Absolutely nothing. And even when you're printing, because sometimes what happens as you're printing, you get a little bit of spread, just from the ink hitting down consistently. It wouldn't matter. You just keep an eye on where you've been quote unquote gapped. It'll just look like it's a perfect butt register.
Okay. So have you ever taken, let's say, a basic vector print, all right?
Right.
And instead of doing it as a spot color like that, you do it as a simulated process.
It's difficult to take a vector image and make it into a simulated process one, because often on a vector image, you've got so many big solid areas. And so unless there were areas that could be half-toned, it's going to be really tough. What most people do, because they're so accustomed to vector, is if they get a raster image, they actually take it and vectorize it.
Oh,
Which is so stupid, because it's so much easier to print a raster image than a vector image. So they're taking something that's pretty easy to print and making it more difficult.
well, yeah, because there's forgiveness on a raster. There's very
Oh,
little
totally.
or none on a vector.
Yep. Have you ever had a chance to print that job that I left behind for you?
No, but I'm ready now. Now that I got the machine set up and we just ran 200 shirts, it was just white on black. But after talking with you yesterday and doing that roller, the image was fantastic. It was crisp. It was white. So
What you need to do is you need to stick your logo in there somewhere.
well, I do have it on the cowl. It's on on the
Okay.
hat. I
Right.
have DnB right on the hat.
Yep.
But did you leave the dragon? No.
Yeah. I left the dragon.
That's the one that I want to do.
Yeah. I love that one because it's a screen print shirt. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
It's got ink. It's got squeegee. It's got ink flying all over the place. It's just kind of one of those. I mean, I even have the shirt here that I wear it all the time myself.
Well, I also like that one that we printed at the show, the
Yeah.
octopus.
The octopus. I sent
Yeah.
you that artwork, or I didn't?
Yeah, you did.
Okay.
So, and I
I
think
mean, if you want some other images, I could send you a bunch of images. That's not a problem at all.
it's a great practice tool for the guys out here because there is forgiveness.
Yep.
You've already shown me how to do the separations on that stuff, and it's really not that difficult. Plus, I've watched quite a few more videos with Dane,
Right.
and guys,
Yeah, I don't understand why people don't take advantage of the fact he's got free videos on how to do a ton of stuff, and nobody goes on his website.
I
Or I
do.
should say nobody. Very few people go on his
Right.
website and actually take advantage of it.
Well, a lot of people think they already know everything.
You know, there's what people do is kind of funny. They won't go to a website like his to view some of his videos, but they'll go to YouTube and listen to somebody who's working out of his garage
Yep.
who is telling you how to grow your business, and yet he's in a garage.
Right.
I'm not knocking the guy, but at the same time, why would I want to base my business on a guy who's working out of his garage and he's going to tell me how to improve my business.
Hmm.
I don't understand it.
But there's a lot of gullible people out there.
Yeah, I mean, some things just they just don't line up the way they should, if you know what I mean. You know,
Absolutely.
when I have to fix something in my house, like you know, the European hinge popped off, and it's like I don't know what to do. I'm going to go on YouTube, but I'm going to go to somebody who is a manufacturer's rep, not some guy who is going to tell me how to repair it, quote unquote, but he isn't affiliated with anything to do with that type of situation. And yet screen printers will jump on YouTube and they'll take it as the gospel. I mean, I watch some of these things. It's like, yeah, and the guy is going to show you how to do a big overall print. Great. And he's got a squeegee that's this big and he's got to use it 5 times just to cover the image. And I'm supposed to buy into that? How stupid is that?
It's very
Then
stupid.
again, welcome to this industry. Some things just don't line up right.
No, you're right, 100%.
You know, I think now that you have your exposing unit working the way it should, I mean, you got to be dancing in the streets on that.
Oh, it's so quick and easy. And now with both of those tanks that we got from you, I don't even need a power washer. That stuff
Oh,
falls
no,
out.
you don't.
It
You
just
know, you
falls
drop
out.
it in, you drop it into the dip tank, pull it out, quick squirt, and it's all done.
Yeah, we have no issues whatsoever.
You know, it's funny. So for the show in Texas, I wanted to do some high density printing. And so I calculated out. And by the way, if you ever want to get to high density, it's 90 seconds per 100 microns. So if you were going to go with high density film, which is crazy expensive, but if you were going to do it, if you were using a 300 micron film, it's a 4.5 minute exposure, period. Okay. Which means you got to sit there and just time it out. But we shot the screens, threw them into the dip tank, and we went to lunch because
Wow.
it takes that long to soften. When we came back, we didn't even use a power washer. We just sprayed and everything fell off the way it was supposed to.
What's the mesh count on that?
You use an 81 mesh with a 71 micron thread. So it's not like an 86, it's a thin thread. So the percentage of open area is 60%. And so it makes it really easy to get the ink through. Bless you. Who's a Zoom user?
That might be my wife, to be honest with you.
Okay.
Yes.
Ah, it is. Okay. So you're going to come to the show in Atlantic City next March?
Yes, sir.
I hope to.
Okay. So my workshop, my second one, is going to be on high density ink. Well, not only high density, on special effects. And I'm going to go through the whole thing on how to apply capillary film correctly for high density. And it sounds easy and stuff. The biggest problem with the high density film, a 16 by 20 sheet is like $35.
You don't
So-
want to make mistakes then.
You don't want to make mistakes and you don't want to waste your film. So you have to calculate exactly where it has to fit on your screen in advance so that you cut it to the right size. You need to give it an inch all the way around. So if it's a 10 by 12 image area, then you need to give it 12 by 14 inch sheet of film, which is okay. But then you need to put it exactly where it's supposed to be so that you actually hit it the right way. But in any event, I'm going to do that in the class. I'll show everyone how to apply capillary film, and then we're going to print it. But we're going to print it with squeegees, but also with brushes.
Brushes.
Yeah, wallpaper brushes.
Interesting.
Yeah,
So-
you're gonna have to wait till March. Although you have my book, so it's in the book.
Now you can mix plastisol with that though, right? Like where you can have plastisol print on part of it and then the high density, which gives
Oh,
that
yeah,
effect.
absolutely. You can print the high density, you can print plastisol on top of it and go back to high density, et cetera. Oh, yeah, no problem at all. Also, if you're using a gel, you can add some plastisol into it to change the color. So if I had a clear gel and I needed pink, I can just put in some pink plastisol and my gel will become a pink instead of a clear.
I see a lot of people getting back into puff a lot nowadays.
Yeah. Have you done much with puff?
No, I've had some people ask me about it though.
All right, I'll tell you what, I have a ton of it. You'll send me your UPS number, I'll shoot you some puff.
So what's the secret to printing puff?
Okay, so number one is the correct mesh. Depending on what you're doing, anything from an 86 to a 110. The other thing is no hairlines, because you won't get it through the screen. It won't be able to lift. It's really not a difficult process. The biggest thing is when you send it through the dryer, you don't want it to get too hot because puff will not only come up, it'll also collapse and drop down.
Like a cake in the oven.
Pretty much. Yep, exactly. So you need to nail it down as far as sending it through the dryer. But really, puff itself or puff base is kind of a yellowy looking nothing. So you can put, if you have concentrated colors at all, you can put that in. Like you're using Union ink, they're really strong. So you can put in like 10, 12, 15% Union, ink into the puff to get a color.
Okay.
The only color you can't get is black, because what happens with puff is as it rises, it disperses the pigment. So even though it was black when you mixed it, it becomes dark gray.
Oh,
Red will become more of a pink. So strong colors, strong pastel-y colors, they tend to soften. So whatever the color is in the bucket, when it's fully puffed, it'll be a lighter version. So color matching pretty much gone.
yeah, I've started to get a lot of inquiries about it.
Yeah, because it's been around forever. What happens is every 10, 15 years, they get rediscovered again. I mean, I've watched it so many times over. It's really not difficult, soft squeegee, minimal pressure. You want just enough pressure to clear the screen so that you don't embed it into the shirt.
Lays on top.
Yeah, otherwise you're going to get a really wavy finish to it. Not going to be very pleasant. And the biggest challenge is if it's a fairly big area, if you give it too much pressure, what'll happen is the edges will be high, but the center will be
It's kind of
dug
pushing
out.
the shirt too much then in that area. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, what'll happen is you're going to have high edges, and then the bottom is going to do this. So the amount of pressure that you want is enough so that you get an even layer. And it takes a little bit of adjustment, but really nothing terrible. But that's where a lot of people make the mistake, is they give it too much pressure. So I think what you're going to find is with the screens you have, a lot of the traditional problems that people run into, you're not going to run into.
Well, I'm impressed so far. I really
Well,
am.
the fact that it's so tight means you don't have to put pressure on it. And so yeah, you'll know if the guys are doing a good job. As long as that palette is free of ink, they're doing a good job. If you see ink hitting the palette, too much pressure.
Right. So when you were here, we talked about squeegee durometer.
Right,
Okay. And also the squeegee for the base. It's a double squeegee.
right.
Now, How does that double squeegee actually work? What makes it better than just a regular one,
Okay, so you have two squeegees in one holder.
right?
So the front squeegee is a 55-90-55. That's the orange one. And the one behind it, so that one lays down the ink. And the one behind it, which is a 62-90-62, is what clears the ink. So on one pass, it's about as much as you would get if you do a double print stroke.
Understood.
Okay, so the difference is on a double print stroke, you already have wet ink down, and now you're coming on top of that wet ink and you're spreading it a little bit. When you do a single pass, you get a sharper edge because it's just a single pass. Biggest thing is you need to hit a 15-degree angle, which means both squeegees hit at the same time. You need to print as slow as, excuse me, as slow as you can print as slow as your head can go. If you go too fast, you don't get the finished effect that you're looking for.
Well,
So
right now, I'm
it
sorry.
looks like a really slow print stroke. It's actually 30% faster than a double stroke.
It would be, yeah, because well, it's just a number, but for instance, the squeegee or actually the flood stroke is at
Hi,
six.
honey. What you doing?
The
What'd
flood
you say?
stroke is
Eating.
at 60.
Uh,
Denise,
Oh, okay.
shut your mic off.
I'm trying to log off.
Okay, I can, you did, she's logged off.
Yeah, she must have got a call from work.
Okay.
She works from home sometimes. So as I was saying, the I forget what I was saying now. See, that's what happens
Um,
when you get old.
huh?
That's what happens when you get old.
Yeah, I'm getting old. Who's getting
Yes,
old?
me. I'm getting up there a little bit. I'll be
Yeah,
actually
you don't even have gray hair on your head.
Sunday, I'll be 62.
Yeah, you're a long ways from me, but that's
Yeah.
okay. 60, I can't even remember 62 anymore.
But I was talking about the speed.
Yes.
So our flood speed is at 60, and
Okay.
then our print speed's at 15. That's the
Okay.
difference
Yeah,
between
the
the two.
flood I'm not concerned with as long as you're not splashing ink.
No,
Uh,
but we do
when,
have an
when,
issue.
you know, the purpose of the flood is, to me, there are two ways of handling a flood. One is just to go over the top of the screen, and the other one, which is a little trickier, um, is where the flood bar is actually touching the screen and pushing the ink into the screen a little bit. The problem with that is it's doesn't take much to rip a screen. So,
Right.
I would be very careful there. But at the same time, um, a slow print stroke to me makes more sense than a fast one. And what
So
I normally do is I'll set up, so your white base is usually your slowest print stroke. I'll have all the heads at the same speed as the white because it really doesn't do anything to go faster. And you don't make a mess by not going too fast.
So what's the trick of keeping, it seems like when we're printing, we have to actually move ink from the sides or add ink because of it's stuck out there
Right.
every 20 shirts or so.
So do you have wing flood bars or do you have straight
Don't.
ones?
We don't.
You don't have wings?
No.
The wings will help because it does bring the ink in, that goes out to the side. When you have a straight flood bar, everything just goes out and
And
you're
it's a
constantly having
pain.
to push it back in. With a wing, you still have it going out, but not as much, so that you actually get the print longer before you run into a problem.
What about clipping the corner on the squeegee? Does that help? If you
Well, I like having a rounded corner anyway. So this way you don't cut your screen. Because, if you have sharp edges, can you cut a screen with that? You can. But by rounding them, you won't have as much of an issue, but that's still not going to let you print any fast or any more. I need to kick around and see what I have in the way of flood bars. I may have a wing flood bar. that I could send you. I'll have to take a look though. Yeah,
Yeah.
if I have it, I'd be happy to give it to you.
I think I'm also ready to get some more squeegees, the actual material, because
Oh, the squeegee material?
yeah, because we're just using the stuff that came with the machine.
Yeah, you definitely need to stop that. Okay. What comes with the machine is a 70 durometer squeegee. And for the length of time you've had your machine, they're probably dull as hell.
And that could be some of our problem.
Okay, so the way you can determine it after the print stroke, run your finger on the screen. Okay. If you come up with ink on your finger, dull.
Ah.
Period. You should come up with nothing on your finger.
So
Absolutely nothing.
what would you suggest that we get?
So if it were me, I would have you get, and I can order them for you. You're using 16-inch squeegees, correct?
I believe so. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So I would probably get three 5590 55s, probably five 6290 62s. And I wouldn't go any harder than that. I don't even like 70s. I think they're too hard for a lot of things. And if you learn how to control your squeegees the right way, you're going to find that you live on those two. Where you need more ink, you're going to go to the softer one. Where you need a little less ink, you're going to go to a slightly harder one. So one is
That could be,
soft and one is medium soft.
and that could be why our prints aren't as white and crisp as they should be.
Well, yeah, not only that, but with a hard blade, you need to increase your angle more so that you get more ink down. So with a softer blade, you don't have to give it quite as much angle.
That makes sense. Now, you sharpen yours?
You're not going to. A squeegee sharpener is going to run you $2,500.
It's not worth it.
Nope, not at all. You know, if you see a deal like the shop that I do my testing in and stuff, uh, squeegee sharpener came up for like $700. So he bought that, and then the diamond wheel that he needed an additional wheel. The additional wheel was $225. You don't need to sharpen a squeegee. You need to sharpen a squeegee, quote unquote, every 10,000 mile, 10,000 prints. Okay. So here's the thing. When you put new blades in, you know how on your squeegee holder, one side has the nut sticking out and the other side is more on the flat side. So what you would do is direct the guys to always put the squeegee in so that either the nut is facing out or the other side is facing out until it starts to get dull. Once it does, that's when you turn around and you use it from the other side because you've got two sides to the squeegee. Okay. Once both sides are dull, you're going to take your blade out, flip it over, put it back in, and now you have two more sides to work with. So,
Oh, never rotated any of that.
well, that's why you and I are chatting.
Yes, I just remember all the information that I received about the squeegees was make sure that you put the bolts up front because if it's in the back, the ink could ride up. So
Now,
that
do it all one way until they start to get dull. You'll know when they get dull by running your finger over the screen.
they're
Okay.
dull.
And at that point, turn around and do it the other way.
So
And then
don't
when
take it out, just spin it around.
right. And then once that gets dull, that's when you take them out, flip them over, put the dull ones into the holder and the other part coming down.
That makes a lot of sense. I didn't even ever think about
Yeah.
that.
And this way you get a huge amount. I mean, even with the blades you have right now, if you pull them out and flip them over, you'd probably see a much better print.
You're probably right.
So, and even though I'm not a big fan of the type of the hardness of the blade, you'll see a definite difference though.
Mm-hmm. We're gonna, you know what? I'm gonna try that.
Yeah, it's a no-brainer, really. But yeah, if you need squeegees, I mean, I can, you don't need it by the roll. I can have it cut and sent to you already cut. So all you have to
Okay.
do is put them in.
I think I want to get a whole new set too, though. Like the
Well, I always think it's smart to have two sets of squeegees anyway, because the last thing you want to do, especially when you're busy, is you finish your job. Now you got to clean the squeegees in order to go on to the next job.
right.
That's such a waste of time and money,
It is.
and how much is it really, wasting? Enough where you can pay for the additional set of squeegees just on the money that you save by not having to stand around and clean.
And the guys are understanding that now. I've been working with them a lot since you left. About even if there's only two guys over there and they're not going to be able to set the machine up right away, take everything out of that machine and take it down to where you're going to clean it.
Yeah,
Just get in the habit of doing that. And I said it also stops you from getting ink all over where you're working and
yeah,
tracking it everywhere.
yeah.
So they're starting to understand that too.
You know, um, I mean, there's a lot of bits and pieces. I think one of the things you want to really do is read through some of my book, because I definitely address some of those issues, not to the extent that we just went through, because that book had gotten a little out of hand at 260 pages. And the last thing I wanted to do was add more pages to it.
Mm.
But at the same time, there's quite a bit in there about bits and pieces that you can do, checking your cure, et cetera. One of the things I'm working on is having a couple of guys from Avient Ink doing a seminar on white inks and curing and testing. And so they're going to be doing it in Atlantic City.
They're going to do it this March.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that will be a separate class than yours.
Yes. I'm going to be doing two workshops, one the day before and one the first day of the show. And they're going to be doing a seminar. I don't know what day exactly, but um, they're both really good speakers. And, if you come to the show, I mean, I would just drag you into my workshop. I wouldn't have you sign up for it. I'd just pull you in.
Well, I definitely will. I'll definitely be there for sure.
All right. Well, I'll take care of you on that part of it.
Well, I appreciate that.
Yeah,
Gail
no big
is it
deal.
gets me a ticket.
Huh?
Gail from
Yeah.
Anatol get me a ticket.
Well, getting into the show is no big deal. They get what, $100 for each workshop.
Yeah, well, last year I bought the package where I
Right.
think it's 300 and you can go to whatever you want.
Yeah, but I still think it's worthwhile. But as far as if you were going to take my workshops, I would just walk you into them.
Okay.
So the only thing you would really want to buy is if you had to go into it, if you wanted to go into a seminar or something, you may want to just buy that quote unquote that seminar
That
pack,
pass.
that particular seminar.
I'd be interested in the ink one from for sure.
Yeah, and we're actually going to do the first one. I spoke to one of the guys yesterday, John McGee. We're going to do it in January at the Long Beach show. So by the time we get to the
All the
Atlantic
bugs will
City
be worked
show,
out.
they'll have smoothed out whatever rough edges there were.
Right. So do you ever thin your ink?
Do I have a what?
Thin your ink, cut it.
No.
I agree with that statement.
Okay.
Because you
When you
take the
thin
pigment
it,
out.
yeah, when you thin it, you're dispersing it. You're going from an opaque ink to a semi-opaque. So you're losing opacity. The biggest thing, especially with the white ink, is just kind of trying out and testing out a number of them until you find the one that really works well for you. And everybody's a little different. Um, the guys who I deal with, if somebody says to me, okay, so what's the best white? So you want the best white with the best price, or do you want the best white period? And do you want it for cotton or polycotton or polyester? And do I believe you should have all three? I don't. I think you need a good poly ink, and I think you need a good cotton ink. And the poly ink works perfectly on a poly cotton.
Right now, I'm using sportswear white, which is supposed to be good for both.
Okay. Well, yeah,
Is it?
any poly ink will work on everything.
Okay.
The biggest thing with poly ink, if you hot stack, meaning you got a decent sized job and you're on 100% cotton with a polyester ink, if you stack those shirts high, the heat that is caught in between, if you have heat and moisture, you can have a thing called ghosting, where the shirt sitting on top of the ink picks up that tone, it pulls the color out of the shirt above it, and you end up with a ghosting situation, and that's something you can't fix afterwards. That's the one downside about poly ink on cotton shirts, is you can run into a problem there.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well, then,
there's an article in my book on ghosting. It's a short one, read it, and it has pictures. You'll see what I mean.
that's just like reading my mind. Short story,
There you go.
right?
All right. In any event, my wife is going to bail on me because I need to take her food marketing.
Ah, well, Charlie, listen, it was a pleasure. Again, I learned a lot.
Thanks so much for being my guest. I do appreciate it. I do this periodically and I post it all the time. So if you see another person who's going to be on, you can jump on and we can always divert from whoever that person is to whatever you need.
Oh, that'd be great.
Oh yeah, you can do it. Anytime I do a Charlie's Corner, it's open to anybody's questions and answers. So it doesn't really matter.
Well, I think the
So
more the merrier, because then everybody can learn a little
yeah, and
bit.
they're always on a Tuesday and they're always at this time.
Okay, very good.
So I don't know when my next one's going to be. I invited someone. I'm waiting for a response, but once I have it, I will let you know. And just if you're on Facebook, you should be able to see it.
I appreciate it, and we'll talk soon.
Absolutely. And like I said, if there's anything I can do for you, let me know.
I appreciate that, and I'm sure I'll be talking to you.
Terrific. Bruce,
All
have a
right,
good one. Thanks again
you
for
too.
being on.
Take care. Bye.